I've been making new Formica on plywood countertops for the galley and head aboard our 1977 Albin Ballad. It's been a learning process, but shaping the panels and trim is now almost done. I've glued the Formica laminate onto new plywood sheets, and while I wait for the epoxy to cure, I've spent some time removing sheave boxes from the mast. My plan is to replace the old aluminium sheaves with modern composite ones, but what seemed like a quick, easy fix is quickly turning out to be a real headache. My name is Andy, and this is the story of one small ship. With not much else to do, I spent the rest of the evening yesterday trimming the edges of the countertops. I'm sure they're going to come out great, and I can't wait to get them installed. I've got something special planned for the S-curve on the one in the head as well. But today it's back to the mast, and my friends at the local chandlery were very kind to lend me the use of their sledgehammer for a few hours today. So I took it down here with the plan of driving out those pins in the sheave boxes. I showed these to the local engine whiz down here. That's the same guy who replaced my cutlass bearing a couple of years ago. And he told me that these are actually locked in place by someone hammering out a little flange on the ends of these pins. And so I figured, well, if I can't get them out with the hammer and driving iron, maybe I can grind away a little bit of the end of the pin and then drive it out. And so I've been doing that for the better part of 2 hours now, and these are not budging. I could get them to move maybe a fraction of a millimeter side to side, but no more than that, and I certainly can't get them out of here. So I hate to do this, but I am going to give up on these. Maybe sometime later down the line I can figure out a way to replace the pins or replace the entire sheave box. But for now, I'm just going to pop these back with new rivets onto the mast, and that'll be that for this year at least. I had not planned for this to be a major project, and I'm not going to let it become one. With the sheave box situation sort of out of the way, the next thing I need to do before we can step the mast is to make new jib and Genoa halyards. Now, the old halyards are 10mm polyester core rope, and I want a Dyneema core to minimize stretch, especially since Marella has a masthead rig which has a fairly large head sail. Now, 8mm Dyneema rope would be absolutely fine, and 10mm would be ideal because of the handling. But last year I got hold of two 40-meter lengths of 12mm Dyneema rope. Now, these are made for a much larger yacht than Marella, but they have one big advantage, and that is that they came absolutely free. So I figure if I can fit these through the sheaves and through the jammers and through all the blocks, then they are good enough. It would cost several €100 to replace the current halyards with 10mm Dyneema, and since I have these, I'm not prepared to pay for that. But I need to do one thing before I can pull these through the mast, and that is to splice one of these onto the ends of each of these lengths. Now, this is a great opportunity for me to practice my splicing, so I'm going to get to that right now. This is not going to be a tutorial because I'm nowhere near a pro at this, but I will leave a link down below to one of the resources that I found most useful when I was learning to do this. With the new halyards ready to be installed, all I need to do now is put the sheave boxes back. It's a shame really that I can't replace the sheaves, but I'll think about it over the summer and hopefully come up with a solution. My friends at the chandlery lent me this amazing rivet gun, so putting them back should be at least very easy. Well, today has really just been a long line of annoyances, one after another. First, not being able to get the pins out and replacing the sheaves. And then when I wanted to get the sheave boxes back in the mast, well, the pin broke off of the rivet halfway in, so I needed to get the rivet out. But when I tried to get the rivet out, the drill broke off inside the rivet and got stuck, and then I had to dig at it with the Dremel for a while. And when I wanted to put another rivet in, the same thing happened again, but the third rivet went in just as it's supposed to, and now this sheave box is back in place. At least I got the new halyards made, but I can't thread them through the mast today because I don't have pilot line, so I'm going to have to do that tomorrow, and it is getting late anyway, so I think it's all right. So tomorrow I'm going to try to get here early, I'm going to wash the mast off, I'm going to thread the new halyards through the mast, and then hopefully we can get to stepping. All right. After 1,001 frustrations, I hope that we are now ready to step the mast. After the mess with the sheave boxes, I noticed that the end cap on one of the spreaders was having some issues. So I had to rethread the holes for the screws which hold the spreader to the wire, and after that was done, I put in new leads for the courtesy flags on the spreaders. And well, we've mounted all the new standing rigging on the mast, and we put in the new halyards, and I also put in a new halyard for the Jenniker, so we should be all set. Just a quick break, and then we're off. Welcome to my ghetto-style DIY wood steaming workshop. I've never steamed wood before, and I figure, what, you just need some container for the wood, you need steam, and, well, obviously something that doesn't melt with heat, but this, right, crisis averted. So as you may have figured out, I was attempting to steam bend on a piece of trim that's going to go on this new countertop in the head, and I actually think I succeeded. I'm as flabbergasted as I'm excited, because this looks really, really nice, and I've never tried to steam bend wood before, and I set up the jankiest possible solution just to get this steamed, and yeah, it worked. There was a bit of a panic because I realized that my clamps, this type of clamp here, is really freaking cheap, so when I tried to clamp this down, yeah, I ended up just quickly grabbing these straps that came with the dinghy rings instead, and have done my best to tie the whole thing together and hold this down with those straps. So bonus points for the dinghy rings for saving my DIY wood steaming project. So now this will have to just sit here for a few days to cool off, and after that I can get back to it. After we stepped the mast, I came down here yesterday to trim off the final few edges of Formica that remained, and then I put everything in place and tried to get all of the trim pieces in there and dry fitted everything to see what it's going to look like. I got the stove back on its gimbals, and I was fiddling around with trying to fit the faucet in here, and I think I'm going to put it on the right side this time round here. So with that in mind, I took down the thermostat for the heater, and I'm going to unhook it from the heater and bring it over there instead. But now what I need to do is make sure that all the edges here are straight and that everything lines up nicely. And then I want to probably take this whole countertop up to my local lumberyard and have them cut the hole for the fridge for me, because I would like to be able to use the piece from the center here for the new lid, and I'm not sure I'll be able to do that if I do it myself, because I'm probably just going to ruin it. But yeah, I'm going to mark out where I want the fridge lid, and I'm going to take the whole countertop with me, and I'm going to head up to the lumberyard and see if they can help me cut that out. I've been messing about for a few hours here below the galley today because I wanted to do something about the gaping hole between the engine and the galley cabinetry. All of this is just dry fitted so far, but it's looking great, and all it really needs is a bit of varnish and getting bolted in place. And then we can live with it like this. Eventually, I think this entire panel will be replaced because I want to get rid of these notches that were put in for the foot pumps that we don't have anymore. And also the plywood is kind of old and there are lots of holes in it and it's worn. I'm also contemplating using the Formica that I have left, and I do have a lot left, to possibly laminate this shelf here below the oven and also the chart table, but I'll get to that further down the line. Anyway, today has seen a break in the weather, so there's another thing I want to do outside the boat today. It's 6 years now since we decided on the name Marella, but we've never actually put the name on the boat before. But last week this showed up in the mail, so it's time to finally give Marella her name. Done, finally, after 6 years. Yeah, I believe this should traditionally be champagne, but since we don't have any, today we'll make do with cider. Let's cheers! Well, we still have the ones in the front to do, but we'll do that off camera, and then she'll have her name at last. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. As I'm editing this in early 2024, I realise we're 2 years behind on videos now. My apologies. I hope some of you will stick around for the next one. If you've enjoyed this episode, please help us out by leaving a like. It really does make a big difference. And press subscribe and hit the notification bell to follow us on our journey. You can also follow us on social media. Check out the links below for that. And thank you so much for watching. Fair winds.